Welcome to our show, A Gentleman's Take, a video podcast where we offer a more refined and sophisticated view on everything in this journey we call life.
All from the perspective of a gentleman.
I'm your host, J.D. Denbow, and this is my enriching co-host,
Mac.
Mac, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
You enjoying all the rain we've been getting the past few weeks?
I'm not a big fan of cold, as you all know, and I'm not a big fan of rain.
So it sounds like we'd all be happier on the beach.
Yeah.
Bring on the beach.
Bring on the beach.
Well, on today's...
I love beaches.
Oh, man. And beaches love me. I can't get enough beaches.
Beaches for all. Big old beaches.
Oh, man. Well, on today's episode, here's what you can expect. We are going to tackle a variety of subjects and activities and offer our take on them. Or as they say in the common tongue, sitting around and shooting the shit. Is that about right?
Sounds about right.
Good. Excellent. So, hey, Mac, what you thinking on the pop culture today?
I was thinking about just talking about some of the shows that we like. You know, I used to watch two of the shows that ran the longest that I watched were Supernatural. Did you watch that?
My wife did.
I really liked that show. And then Criminal Minds, did you watch that show?
I did not.
So neither one of the long-running ones that I watched, you watched. I watched Dexter. I know that you watched that show.
We do have Dexter in common and highly recommend that on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, did you ever, if you had any TV time in, did you ever like watch X-Files or anything like that?
I actually, strangely enough, I had a roommate right when I got out of boot camp, got out of training and all that stuff, got assigned to my first duty station. The barracks where we stayed, it was like 4 guys share a room, and then you guys have a bathroom and it's connected to 4 other guys. So one of the people that was on my side, right, one of the 4, he had a computer. He had the one computer that was in our room, right? And he downloaded like every single episode of X-Files ever onto his computer, and he would sit there watching it like every day. So did I watch X-Files on TV? No. Did I see a bunch of different parts of different episodes of X-Files?
Yeah.
Yes. Did I hear them? Yes.
Okay. So did you enjoy anything? Did anything ever catch your interest? Or it was just no ways for you?
It was kind of like your take about the person that watches TV and just like just leaves it running. I just kind of like tuned it out as best possible.
Yeah.
I think I actually would have liked the show, but by the point where when I watch a show, I get involved in it. I'm invested in it.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what's going on. I'm not going to start 3 seasons in episode 12.
Right.
And just like start watching it and have no idea what happened before that. Right.
Yeah.
And whenever he started watching it, like he was not in the beginning whenever I started seeing it.
Okay.
And so it's like,
it ruined it.
It was kind of like intentional ignorance, because I was like, this might be something that I would watch. So I'm not going to pay much attention.
But if you're not going to go chronological order, then what's the point?
Right.
So why invest?
Yeah.
In the 90s, I also liked Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. Did you ever watch that with Kevin Sorbo?
No.
And there was a spin-off show called Xena, Warrior Princess.
I know of it.
Man, you talk about taking on all the mythological genres of Greek gods and Norse gods, and it's just all done in a wacky, almost kung fu-like style. The sound effects of like they're fighting, all their heads turn, and I don't know. It was just good, campy fun. And we on a rewatch, I realized Xena was like I thought was the better show, and then it got darker and more depressing and a little more too preachy. When I realized, dang, Hercules was the wholesome show about just being a good man. And I was like, dang, this is okay. There's more lessons I'm getting from this. And when it did turn dark, it was still, I don't know. It ended up being better than Xena. So as a kid, I favored one over the other. Now it's like, no, give me Hercules.
Yeah.
That structure for those shows would set up how shows would come. Like everyone, they weren't like they weren't the cop shows, they weren't the sitcom shows, but that structure, that style, that setup lent itself for all future shows. Like after that would go into like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spinoff Angel, and then all of a sudden every show did that, and it's like they knew how to draw you in with that stuff. And
I think that's the interesting thing about Supernatural, the fact that it ran like 20 something seasons, I think 22 seasons or something,
and was a part of a lot of those changes.
The whole time that they were running it, they were trying spinoffs. Like first off, from what I heard, it wasn't ever intended to run as long as it did, not even close. And you can kind of tell, like if you watch season 1, in season 1, they're just hunting monsters. I mean, they're just going after monsters. It's just two brothers going after monsters.
Not like a big story arc type.
It's thing. Like, hey, we're gonna go kill, a witch. We're gonna go kill this. We're gonna go kill that.
Episodically.
Like, oh, boom, we found a werewolf.
Self-contained.
We found a vampire.
Yeah.
So each episode is just like an episode.
Yeah.
But then, like, after season 1, it was like, oh, people actually really like this show. Let's kind of develop some of the characters. So then it started like taking off from there. And then, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, by the end of it, like every character has died at least once and come back somehow, some way.
A good show does that.
Like they kill them off and they come back. They make deals and all this stuff so that they can come back. And they all have their own wild arcs, and it's just a freaking mess by the end of it because they were building a story, but they didn't know where the destination was. Like if you start and you say, hey, we're going to start here, and this is where we're going to end up. Let's see how that arc goes. They were kind of like just, hey, let's make another season.
Yeah.
And then they'd be, hey, let's make another season. Hey, let's make another. And they just
what was it, 15 seasons?
Over that. I know it was 20 seasons.
Wow.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel, well, maybe it was they just always had 22 or 23 episodes. Maybe that's why I'm stuck on 22 or 23. Maybe it was always 22 or 23 episodes, and it was 15 seasons. That actually sounds more accurate.
Well,
but
obviously people were watching. They kept making them.
They tried to spin it off multiple times, and I think that was what CW was really about. They wanted a spin-off before they killed it.
Yeah.
And so then they had like these women in the show at one point that were really trying to be like, they were trying to front run them a little bit, like as really, badass women.
Yeah.
And try to make them into their own show. And that didn't pan out. That was like their best option. Out of the show, they were trying to do that. Yeah. And they just couldn't get it to spin off, and they couldn't get it to take. But they said that they wanted to run it until they could get a good spin off from it.
Yeah, if you can do it, and by the way, if you have a long running series that can do that, more power to you. A lot of shows have good spin-offs, I think. But the problem with the CW is they try a little too hard. Now, granted, I would go on and say that Supernatural is probably their most successful show of all time on that network. Right. Followed by Smallville. I want to say Smallville was really popular. I didn't really watch that show, but I know people. It ran 10 seasons. Yeah. And that's long. But now you mentioned CW. I mean, I don't think I'm alone here, but CW doesn't exactly scream quality these days. They've kind of taken over the DC superhero franchises, and they're known for just being angsty, like a lot of drama that doesn't need to be there, and it's hard to watch it. I had tried watching Green Arrow. I tried watching some of The Flash. I tried watching. God, they had every spinoff. Yeah, Supergirl. Right now,
are you talking about Green Arrow or just Arrow?
Green Arrow. Well, Arrow is Green Arrow. And
right, but the show is called Green Arrow or is called Arrow?
I think it's called Arrow. I can't remember what it was called.
I watched Arrow.
Okay, it was one of those great. The first couple seasons apparently were really, really, really good. It just
I have a gripe about that show.
Really?
Yeah, Arrow was a good show. That's Stephen Amell, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Arrow, I was watching it, and yes, they did that where they just induced like a lot of drama for no reason into it. Mm-hmm. But here's the part that pissed me off. They had this spin-off thing that we're talking about. All these other shows started going, The Flash and all these other things. So they were trying to run all those things simultaneously. And then they put it on, I'm pretty sure Arrow was on Netflix.
Yes.
So they put Arrow on Netflix. But guess what? The other shows aren't on Netflix. And they did these episodes where they were together, like crossover episodes. And
Yeah.
certain of them were Arrow, and certain of them were Flash.
Yep.
Certain of them were different things.
Yep.
So if you watch it on Netflix, you don't even know what happened. And then I'm talking the very end of the series. The very end, like the last season, they have like a break where Arrow goes to different episodes and then comes back, and that's the end of the series. And it's like, yo, we just missed like the whole. That's like
What about your root fan
That's like
base?
reading a book. That's like reading a book.
Yeah.
You get to chapter 29. There's 31 chapters. 29 and 30 are missing, and then it's 31. But you only have half that. So it's like 29, 30, and half of 31 are missing, and then you just read the end of the book. And it's like, what the heck is that?
And these shows that spinoffs are at risk. If they ever attempt to cross over, you need to make sure that's done well. Hercules and Xena pulled it off. They even risked a split storyline, which I thought they pulled it off well. Angel and Buffy did that. And if you can do it well, do it. But if you are trying to, I felt like it drained the quality of Arrow. Like that's why it was like, man, your team is spread thin as far as your writers' room, and you're trying to provide for all of it. They had at one point in time, I think overall running number, like some 12 different shows. And the Flash is wrapping up now in a very pitiful and pathetic way. Like if you love the Flash and if you ever watched that one, you'd be ashamed to see it right now. It is a piece of junk. Arrow, I think, it bowed out not gracefully, and that was
like I do not like when I spend that much time and effort watching a show, and then it just like gets botched at the end. It's like, what the heck?
And that is a common practice. Now that's just poor decision making.
It's like they just mail it in. It's like, okay, we really don't have much for you.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna make any more episodes, so let's just throw some crap together and hope that you guys don't get too.
Or you have some like real life stuff hitting and where it affects the show. There was a show on Netflix. One of their first shows, exclusive to Netflix, was called House of Cards. I can't think we've talked about it on the show before.
I don't think so.
Maybe more. Anyway, but yeah, House of Cards was it was a show with Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright. You talk about political intrigue. It was one of those shows where Kevin Spacey is a dirty politician, and that's all he really is. And then you, over the course of that first season, you realize how far he's willing to go. And what makes it interesting, it's similar to Dexter in that he'll stop. Let's say you and I are having an argument, and then he'll turn to the camera and break the fourth wall. Do you see how he has the sweat on the side of the face? He's a weak man. And he would have this conversation with the audience all throughout the series. And it was awesome. And how he would do it. And then I think later they introduced his fact that his wife, Robin Wright, would start doing it. And it's like, uh-oh. So, and then when he starts doing more things like kind of like murder, it's like, what are you willing? Dude, you're a senator. Oh, now you're vice president. Oh, you're president. I mean, like he got up to the presidency, and it's okay. I'm okay with saying this. Fantastic show that ran, unfortunately, 5 seasons. There was a 6th season. We waited all this time to get to that 6th season to end one of the greatest shows of all time. But unfortunately, due to the trendiness of the Me Too movement, I'm not saying victims' voices shouldn't be heard, but it was that was the start of the cancel culture era. And he was canceled. So instead of just being like, dealing with it, paying your fines, go to jail, whatever, he was just fired from the show. The main star was fired from the show without a resolution and saying he had a heart attack in between seasons at the most pivotal point. And they made they had shot like a few episodes and went back and started over. And his wife's character basically became the first lady president because the president had died. And let me just tell you.
That's not how it works.
Huh? Exactly. Exactly. Or was she the vice president? I can't. It was something where she.
I don't think your running mate can be your spouse.
There was something going on, and it's how long it's been. But it was getting really intriguing, really interesting, and then they pulled this crap. And I tried watching it, and I couldn't get past the first episode or two, and I just said, what a waste of all these 6 years I've given to this show. No resolution, no anything. You talk about mismanagement, one of the greatest shows of all time. But speaking of spinoffs, I read that they're trying to do a Dexter spinoff, and you have not seen that new final season they did. But what they're talking about doing, it's more, how the trend of going to origin stories and prequels. They want to do a spin-off show for that story arc involving the Trinity Killer, which was John Lithgow in season 4. And I guess he's considered the biggest dynamic of the show, the hit of the show, which I agree with. That was a fantastic season. But they figure if they can do a spin-off show with him and his backstory, because he had been a serial killer for many, many years, I'm like, I could see, if done right, I can see it. There's no real point, especially when you know the outcome. But still, you can have some pretty cool stuff on there. But that's in the works.
I wouldn't watch it.
And
right. I'm a big Dexter fan. I wouldn't watch it.
Right. It's not necessary. But there's also a spin-off potential for his son, Harrison, I think his name was. They were talking about doing that, and it's just like, at this point, I mean, there's no real reason to.
Like Dexter's son or the Trinity Killer's son?
Dexter's son. And I'm like, I could see it, but I mean, again, it's just not necessary. The story of Dexter that does not give anything away. Every story will wrap and have an ending, and I think Dexter wrapped up perfectly. And there's no need.
The first time or the second time?
The second time. The first time, it was an ending. I didn't hate it, but at the same time, it left a lot to be desired. I hated how
I was okay with the first ending, and that's why I'm just so opposed to, like...
Okay, so
if I watched the extra season that came out, after they said it was done, they made another season.
Yes.
And if it butchers it, I'm going to be
the original
never
showrunner,
talking about Dexter again.
Well, the original showrunner came back. And he wanted to give the ending he originally envisioned, but Showtime they weren't letting him at the time. So, and plus, I think the actor Michael Hall, Michael C. Hall, he was sick. I think he had cancer at one point in one of the seasons, maybe 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was actually he almost passed away. And the character that plays his sister was his real life wife at that time when he was sick. Yeah, they were married. And I don't think
she's annoying as hell in that show. I couldn't imagine her in real life.
If you can trust me, as you are a fan of that show, I'm telling you, it's a worthy ending, a worthy season. It went away, and then it was so satisfying, and then it goes a different way, and then it goes a different way, and I'm just pleased where it ended up. Now, amongst fans that aren't you and me, I like to think you and I are, like I said, we bring a balance to this whole thing. The fans that aren't us they're not very high on that ending. I think you would enjoy it, and I would highly recommend it. So whenever you get time, I would definitely check out that final season.
What's it on? Where can I watch it?
It's on Showtime, but I believe Chris mentioned in a previous episode that it's basically Showtime and Paramount Plus came together, so you could watch it on there. And again, it's almost like if you're a fan, you owe it to yourself to see how this plays out. And I was surprised. I enjoyed it. It was a great time revisiting.
It's like if a band breaks up and then a couple years later they get back together.
Right.
And you're like,
should have stayed broken up.
Did they really resolve their issues, or are they just going to suck? Are they just all money hungry now?
Yeah.
So you're just like, I don't really want to ruin
It's one of those rare times where it was lightning in a bottle and the magic was able to be recaptured. And I'm not going to say there's not a couple annoying characters, but we already had that in the original. Okay, so, but yeah, wrapping up our pop culture here, let's just leave that craziness and go to something a little crazier. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea.
All right, Mac, what you got for us this week?
Would you rather have a significant other that you marry, and before you met, they were very promiscuous?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking very, very promiscuous. And everybody knows that you married this girl that was very promiscuous.
The promiscuous girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, very high body count. Or would you rather meet a girl that's very innocent, very kind, but you guys have a child and you find out that the baby is not yours, and everybody knows?
Ding, 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 ding.
So she either slept with a ton of people before you, or she didn't sleep with anybody before you, but she slept with one person while you were together.
then the answer is goodbye.
So you're gonna be with the girl that's got a 50 body count?
You know, I will if the loose lady is mine to keep forever, and she's married to me. You know, we all have a past, and that's just how it is. As long as she left that life and she gave it up for me.
But there's no guarantees that that's true, because
That's true. But for me to have married somebody, I would have to see a value in them. I wouldn't just see like, oh, you're so hot and I'm the lucky one that finally got I'm one. After all 50, 51 right here. All I had were some bad jokes and a 6-pack of beer.
Okay, so it has just morphed. So what if you're married either way? You're married to a person, and after you're married, you find out that the person you thought you married slept with a ton of people, but you thought that they were innocent. You thought that they were innocent either way.
Innocent. And they slept with a ton of people.
So they break your trust no matter what.
While married to me.
While married to you. Either, A, they broke your trust by telling you that they were innocent up until marriage, and then you find out after a few years
that they weren't innocent?
That they actually had, 50 previous lovers. Or you find out through them procreating a child with another person that they slept with somebody different.
How would I react to this, or what choices would I make? Either or? Okay,
which would you prefer? Would you prefer being betrayed, as in
did you lie to me, or did you have an extramarital affair?
That's a pretty big lie.
That's a pretty big lie, and that actually is going to hit the character of that person, and it's a character trait. Now, if I find out years after the fact, because
you've been with them for, we'll say, 5 years.
Just 5 years, okay.
Just
5 years.
5 years of your life has been married to this person.
I can see if you go past 5 years, where she's matured, she's grown up, and she wants to tell, she regrets that she even lied. And then after a while, it's just too embarrassing. Like, maybe it'll never come up again. And then eventually, let's say after 5 years, 19, whatever, it doesn't need to come up. She's just embarrassed she did it. She didn't mean to do it. Okay, fine. But if I found out, say, within that first 5 years, that you were the village bicycle.
Yeah. Everybody knew it but you.
Ooh.
Everybody knows that you've been.
Are they joking about me? Are they like talking behind my back, going, dude, he has no idea?
Would you?
I don't know. I guess it depends what kind of person you are. But people probably like, man, everyone's had his wife.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would suck. So do I choose that, or would I choose someone that cheated on me and had a child and someone else's child?
But in that scenario, she only slept with one person one time. It was just a stupid mistake.
Man, Mac, this is almost too easy. I would never. I couldn't be with somebody that cheated on me within the vows of our marriage. So that would be it.
That's a good choice.
That's a great choice. I can work with somebody who makes mistakes and is a person in progress, just like the rest of us are. And be like, okay, you made a mistake and you lied to me, and everyone knows it. But when it's all said and done, I don't care what other people think. If they're going to judge and laugh at me, I mean, that would suck. But at the same time, they're not living my life. I can go anywhere and live anywhere. I would still honor my vows, because guess what? Despite that one lie, she's honoring her vows. And if you feel like you need to morph this again, I'm just saying that's almost too easy, because there's just on one, there's no forgiveness.
Okay, would you rather...
Here we go.
Would you rather your wife sleep with a bunch of men while you're married? Or you guys have a child together, right? Either A, she's been sleeping with people since you've been together, but the child is yours. Or... she only slept with one person, but the baby is not yours.
Oh. Okay, so when the child's mine.
So would you trade her having sex with more people to have the baby be yours? Or would you rather discount the amount of people so that baby isn't yours.
The child's mine. And that changes the game. So I'm not going to stay married to you if you are unfaithful to me. I'm just not.
So both ways you're leaving her.
Yeah. If you become the bicycle, that's fine. I just won't want to ride that one anymore. And then first of all, I mean, there's a lot of emotions that can go behind that, but I'm thinking about the child, and I'm thinking, what's going to be the best for that child? Would the child need to live with me? Would the child need to live with you? I'm going to push for me. But if there's a fight when it's all said and done, you're out of my life, and that's it. It's just that simple. What fool would stay behind after being married? No. There's nothing real crazy about it. It's just I'm bringing my real world sense to it. Now,
So
in
that
that's
scenario,
it.
which one would you pick?
I would pick the one where the child's mine.
I would pick the opposite.
Oh, so you can leave?
I would be leaving either way.
You're right.
So if I'm leaving either way, I'd rather the baby not be mine.
Oh, I thought it was if the child was mine in either scenario. Okay, so fine. No, if this child's not mine, deuces. I'm out.
Might as well not be yours at that point then.
Pretty much. Now I said it, but if we were together and you were just a loose lady, hey, we all have a past. We've all made mistakes.
Village bicycle. That's messed up.
It's true. I mean,
50 is a lot.
50 is a lot.
I believe I'm ready to issue a gentleman's challenge.
I accept.
Are you ready?
Never.
Never. I thought you would say always.
Always.
Always. All right. So we have in front of us everybody's favorite sugary treat, the colorful candy. We will be playing a sorting game where we will open our bag of candy and we will sort it into colors. First one to complete the rainbow wins. And the loser will be the lesser man for the day.
So here we go. Gentleman's challenge. Let's make sure everyone gets to their tribe. 3, 2,
1,
go.
go.
All right. You don't belong with us. Get out of here. How you doing over there, Mac?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Or very good?
Pretty good.
Dang. Better than me?
Are you about to be done?
Yep. I'm lying.
Done.
No joke. Look how much I had left to go. Wow.
I smoked your ass.
Yeah, you kind of did on that one. Man, I kept hearing that ninja moves we were talking about earlier. Okay. So, yours were perfectly formatted. Mine, I have been found wanting. I have been measured. I have been weighed. And lacking. I'll take my little small community of Denbow Stenites and move them on. Well, it sucks being the lesser man sometimes because you just watch everything you have crumble and fall down. I was not today's better man, and I accept that. I would like to offer my congratulations to you because I couldn't see you, but I could hear you. You were ninja-ing that.
You should watch it back. It'll be enjoyable for you.
If the camera could capture it as fast as you were moving. So,
So are you ready to get to the comeuppance portion of our show?
I am. I accept. One ask. Please be gentle.
Okay. So can you take out your earpieces, turn towards me, and tuck your beard up a little bit?
Tuck my beard up? Like
Yeah.
up and away, or?
Yeah.
Like so?
Yeah, like that.
Like that, okay.
Yeah.
So turn towards you.
Yep.
Make sure I look good for the side turn. There better not be a tortilla in your hand.
There's no tortilla.
Okay, I'm not getting slapped again. We have a temporary ban on tortillas, if you haven't noticed. All right, hair up. You're gonna slap me, are you?
I'm not slapping
Okay.
you. You ready?
Holding the beard and up. The gentleman shaming. Folks.
Don't cover it.
Folks, yes. This is the kind of comeuppance where we call this the gentleman's shaming. And I think the last time was the shame shot. And it was a shaming with the tortilla. This is my $150 tie.
Too late.
Wow. So I just get to sit here like this.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
You know, my $350 tie here.
$36.79.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there telling you, $375 right here out the window. Wow.
Oh, it's going up to $375 since we've been discussing it.
Dude, I paid $380 for this. And
I paid $412
Bro.
for this.
I'm just very disappointed. This was my, you realize this was my power tie? This was the one I walked around wanting people to go, double take.
I depowered you then. That makes me feel like even more of a better man.
Man.
I took your power.
I think we need...
When you turned, the whole reason I told you to grab your beard and tuck it up was because as soon as I pulled out the scissors, I didn't want you to think I was going for your beard.
I was worried about that. But I was more worried that you were going to slap the ever-living snot out of me. I really was. I'm like, you better not have a tortilla in that damn hand. We're going to have a problem.
I'll let you kick the hot takes off.
Wait. Here we go. The hot take. Do I really have to have that? Today's hot take. I was looking right at it too.
That sounds better.
All right. Today's hot take will be.
I like how you keep squaring your tie away with a
It doesn't feel
freaking
proper.
shark tooth down here.
A tie is still a tie, and I am a gentleman. It's my short tie. So my hot take is, I think the court of public opinion is one of the most toxic things about our society, especially with social media. And by the court of public opinion, I mean guilty before proven innocent. That goes back to the old days of every time anyone said those were unjust times. Look at the Salem witch trials. Mm-hmm. That was the same thing. Today, most people cry about that still. It was just unjust and not fair. But that mentality still exists. You are guilty until proven innocent because you have to be, because of whatever reason, whatever criteria you are, you just have to be, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're this race, whether you believe in this or have that value or no values. You're guilty. There's a reason you have to be guilty before. And you are judged. So here's the thing. As Libby had pointed out, Johnny Depp, he was found guilty by his peers, but not by the legal system. And then he was fired from a film. He still made his money, which is awesome, but he was fired. And Amber Heard ended up she was found guilty anyway. Now, whether what was true was not, it's still the outcome and everything that was proven. She was guilty before being pronounced guilty. So I disagree with that too. Mm-hmm. I mean, as ridiculous as it was, man, she still has her day in court. Everyone has their day in court. And I don't like that this cancel culture thing, this whole demonizing thing, this whole round them up, pitchforks and torches, that mentality needs to go away, that mob mentality. So I mentioned on the first episode where a show we mention frequently is Rick and Morty. And Rick and Morty, the creator of that show, and is also the voice of both Rick and Morty, he was fired due to allegations. And it hadn't been proven true at all, but Cartoon Network decided to get in front of it, kind of do a little virtue signaling, saying, we here are against anything, blah, 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 blah. And he's fired. And they still expect the show to go an additional 4 seasons without this guy. Anyway, so I just read the other day that charges were dropped because there was insufficient evidence. There was just not enough to pin it on him. So what they were pinning against him was there was allegations from a former employee that worked with him on the creative team, and she said whatever, like he came on to her, it was inappropriate. Who knows? There wasn't enough evidence, and that should just be enough. Now, the other thing that he had against him was he did have these text messages that people are like, well, he did this and that. So if you were actually read the text messages that were, some would say that the inappropriate text messages, I don't condone that. I really don't. And he made a bad judgment call. But technically what was said and on paper, he didn't break the law. So we're just so willing to attack somebody for whatever reason without it being seeing their day in court. And that'll probably never really be addressed. Now, granted, he works for Cartoon Network and they fired him and they can do whatever they want. But again, it just sets a bad precedent. If you're not found guilty and you aren't guilty, and then and so he was fired. They haven't hired him back. There's been no announcement about that yet. So they're just done with him either way, even though he wasn't found guilty for anything. And there's so many scenarios like that.
Fired by public opinion.
Fired by public opinion, and it made them look good, even though people that think like me, I just think it makes you look stupid. There's a baseball player. His name is Trevor Bauer. He is one of those pitchers of modern times that he's famous for being a unique personality and actually being a good pitcher. Like, it's rare to have a standout ball player. His story is unique in how he learned how to pitch, and he pitches differently than any pitcher in the sport. But he has an ego to him. He has a bit of a showman to him. But he got hit with these. He got traded to the Dodgers, and I think played 1 or 2 games, and then got suspended due to allegations because of against a lady, and that came out on some issue. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is he was suspended the rest of that season for a number of games, maybe 2 seasons, and until the Major League had to run their own investigation, and then the courts had to do their thing. When it was all said and done, it came out the lady was wrong, and it was insufficient, and he was found not guilty. So you know what they do? They hate this guy so much that if we brought him back now, it's going to make us look bad. So they went ahead and just suspended him indefinitely. I'm like, wow. So I never got to see him really play for the Dodgers, and I was looking forward to that. Yeah. So now I think they finally dropped it, and he can come back. It's just now no team wants to pick him up, and it's like, wow.
So they ruined his whole career.
They ruined his whole career, and it was this crazy lady, and another lady tried to say the same thing, and again, that was proven to be false. So, and every person that's a fan of the sport that just has a problem with that guy's attitude and how he plays, they were for it. People that should think differently, and think, logically, they're just like, screw him, he's guilty. Well, he had to do something. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not saying that's not true, but he's being his livelihood and everything has been challenged, and all on something that was proven to be a lie.
Throughout your life, there's almost no reasonable time that you can act sheerly based on emotion and disregard logic.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, that is a bad system.
And
if you use emotion and how you feel about things, I don't feel the same way that most of my opinions go, right? Or I don't make my opinions on how I feel about things based upon my feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't base my logical conclusion on my emotion.
Well, and here's another reason why it's okay. It's going to back up your claim, don't trust the government. They encourage that. Right. They are trying to use your heartstrings and tug on them And for some, they want no, let's bypass this law, and yeah. So anyway, they encourage it and hence the division, and that's the whole point. There was this Netflix documentary called "It's Going to Be All White," and it doesn't paint Caucasian people in a favorable light. And one of the hosts on that show, her name is Amanda Seales, and what she says is pretty harsh about people of that skin color, and is trying to make that known, like acceptable, like it's okay to hate on this group. Now, this woman, and the reason I'm even mentioning this in my hot take, is this woman, I think, tried to date a former NFL player. His name was Myron Rolle. Couldn't tell you where he played and for how long.
Florida State.
Okay, you know the name.
He was a very smart safety that came out of Florida State.
It would make sense that you would know this guy then. Okay, so then you're probably aware that he quit or left the sport.
He's like a Rhodes Scholar. I'm almost 99% sure.
He's at MIT.
Yep.
He's at MIT. The man is brilliant. Anyway, this lady, and I'm using that term loosely, she tried to hook up with him, I think tried to contact him, tried to meet up with him, wherever at. And I don't think he gave her the time of day. Or if they did, it was one of those, we're hanging out and she just happens to see us at a party type thing. Anyway, she made accusations against this man. This man who went to MIT, made something of himself outside the NFL, and was doing wonderful things. I couldn't tell you what it is now. I'll probably put up an article. Ding! But he was doing amazing things, and this was all about to get derailed. They were about to, everything was at stake for him, and it was all on a lie. Matter of fact, he came back guns blazing. Pretty much, he didn't flinch or where our people are looking into. No, he goes, if you don't cease saying this about me and posting it on social media, my lawyers are about to eat you alive. I have got proof, showing what you are of everything you ever sent me. But this lady got her notoriety from it. She got famous for it. Mm-hmm. And then she got this Netflix documentary because of that. And it's like, why is anyone listening to this idiot? She shot her shot, failed, and was still given a platform. This dude just wasn't even fazed. He said, "Bitch, stop." She stopped. She backed off. And guess what? He is still doing amazing things at MIT. And she still goes on her hateful rhetorics. But after the failure of that documentary or movie, I don't care what it was. This is why I don't really pay for Netflix anymore, because I hate your content. It sucks. And it's very divisive. And it's not eye-opening in any way, shape, or form. Thank you. So, you still choose to give her a platform. But after that thing failed, man, people did come out against her, not only pointing that scenario out, pointing out how hateful she is. And all she wanted to do was show how hateful this race was when she was the one being hateful. And then she victimized herself.
Yeah, of course.
So, but anyway, but there is a group of people out there that sided with her under the court of public opinion, and that's the part I'm just getting at. This man's life at MIT was almost ruined, and the fact that she had a Netflix special. It's like you're rewarded. It's like the Tiger King. Why would you give this idiot a special, and then there's a movement to get him out of prison? It's all the same thing for me. We put the wrong people on pedestals. We believe the wrong people automatically, and we shouldn't. We should never do that. You got to look at things objectively. You got to let the courts do its thing. If there's insufficient evidence, it's their call, not yours. Let them be found guilty. Let them be found innocent, and then let go. Move on. Quit being sheep and quit listening to the public opinion and going with the mob.
Yeah,
that's my hot take.
Well, my hot take is I'm actually pretty heated about mine as well, but it's not nearly as irritating as the one that you just had. Although it is irritating in a different way. I am sick and freaking tired of self-checkout lines popping up and becoming more and more forced.
Yes.
Okay, last time I checked Walmart, I didn't put in a freaking application with you. So I don't work for you. Okay? If you were going to reduce the amount of cost that was being incurred by me going into your store by reducing the labor cost, so be it. I haven't felt a dime of that. As a matter of fact, my wife goes to get groceries. We used to pay $300 for groceries.
Yeah.
And then $350 for groceries, then $400 for groceries. Now it's like $450 for groceries. It just keeps going up.
Like my time.
And guess what? I keep doing more and more and more of the freaking work. Okay? When I go, I don't want to go through self-checkout. I want to go through the cashier. My wife doesn't like that, right? My wife doesn't want to. She would rather just go through that
And get it done and get it out.
But I want to go through the actual line and make them check my groceries out. Yeah, it's going to take longer, but it's kind of out of principle. It's like, I'm not paying to work for you.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever done self-checkout before? And just because, for whatever reason?
Yes.
In the year you did that, did you ever receive a W-2 from them?
No. I know,
Really,
right?
Walmart?
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, if everybody would be like, no, we're not. Let's all sign a petition. 100 million signatures say we are not using self-checkout. Official April 1st. Walmart, you better have employees because we're either A, not shopping, or B, we're going to make your one cashier that you got there, quit. And the whole store will shut down because we're not going to do self-checkout.
Do you know how much a Walmart store, just a store, makes in a day?
Oh, plenty to hire more
insane.
cashiers.
So you should imagine taking away the entire, like the nationwide Walmart corporation, one day of profits from them.
Yeah. If
Ooh.
in summation, my basic premise is I choose in my life to not use self-checkout because I'd like to not work for them because they don't pay me. To each their own. You can do what you want, but if everybody decides to do it the easy way, then we'll just keep doing more and getting less. And I'm not about that life. So, majority wins, unfortunately, in some scenarios.
The human condition, the path to least resistance is usually the path most taken.
True.
Unfortunately.
True.
Alrighty, Mac. I think everything has been pretty therapeutic. I got some stuff off my chest and the hot take
Did I.
that has been bothering me for a while because you just see it, you read it every day, and it's like, my gosh. So those were hotter takes than most, but I'm okay with it. And I agree with you. But yeah. Again, getting that all off our chest, that was a good time for me. And I do still think, despite everything, with our pop culture, with our crazy takes, I think we covered everything in a manner most refined, and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
And saved $150 on our therapy session this week.
Pretty much. Thank you. This is actually a psyop. We are having new people listen to us, and we're trying to make things better in our own lives. So thank you for being our psychiatrists. And do you have any recommendations on how we can fix things and improve?
We watch the likes and the subscriptions and the views to justify our existence now. So you got to make sure that you hit that button.
Right? Please.
Or I'll have to go back to the real therapist.
Likes and subscribes equal dopamine hits for me. But
I don't know why I did that. I don't even chew my nails in real life. I just did it on camera for no reason.
There it is.
I must be getting anxiety.
Maybe it is. Maybe
hit the
it is.
subscribe button.
Once again, we have established who the better man was for the day. And again, I say congratulations.
John Wall.
And I will go ahead and accept my lesser man title. That's okay. My lesser title. And be happy about it. Seriously, $400 tie.
$478.
So that'll be too much. I would never pay that. I paid $475 though. So that being said, yeah, I think everything we spoke about beautifully came together to form a perfect take.
Or a gentleman's take.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, Mac, Audience, until we meet again, be sure to sit back, sip some bourbon,
Smoke a stogie.
and appreciate the finer things in life.
Like self-checkout.
The Audience Take.
We want to hear from you.
Any suggestions or requests for future takes, challenges, comeuppance, or criticisms, please email us at AGentlemansTakePodcast@gmail.com.
Don't forget to check out our Twitter and Instagram pages for exclusive content.